been a Hillary Clinton supporter for president for quite some time. Does Donald Trump's entry into the race in any way complicate that?
I want to just remind you that, as you pointed out, with that unbelievable opening, you got 5 weeks to go, and I'm still the spouse of a presidential candidate.
Ah, yes, Hillary waits because in the distance, Bernie Sanders, he rises ever so slowly, leaving in his wake standing ovations, and those who dare question the inevitable coronation of America's first queen. This as the media seeks Republicans inside the Beltway daring to poke their heads out before the SCOTUS Obamacare decision. And finally, science brings us an answer to the vexing question, who has more self-control, Republicans or Democrats? Oh boy. Leave your cares and worries behind. We seek to set the world right with the political animal. Welcome back the Newsmax contributor, co-host of the Daily Wrap every weeknight at 7 p.m. Eastern, and Forbes political contributor Rick Ungar, joined by the former head of FEMA, now echoing through the Rocky Mountains on 630 KHOW in Denver, Colorado, Michael Brown. Gentlemen, I thank you both for being here today. And seeing as this is a Hillary question to begin with Bernie Sanders, Mr. Ungar, to you first. Here's an article from Salon, which is a left-leaning website, saying Hillary Clinton's going to lose, doesn't even see the frustrated progressive wave that will nominate Bernie Sanders. He will wash over her. He will take her off the earth itself. I stop right there because how's everybody doing on all this Bernie Sanders stuff?
Well, I think Salon might have gotten a little bit carried away. Look, he's doing great. For those of us who are old enough to remember Eugene McCarthy, I'm very definitely old enough to remember him. This all feels a lot like the McCarthy campaign way back when. It's Bernie Sanders presents a great opportunity for younger people, other people who really want to see some change. And I think it's terrific. Is he going to be able to beat Hillary Clinton? No, that's not going to happen, I'm afraid.
All right. So, Michael, I put it to you then with regard to this. Should the GOP then at least applaud a little bit and say, hey, okay, go ahead, give Hillary a little shot in here. It might be good for her. Or is this just all nothing more than fluff a year and a half before we elect a president?
No, I don't think it's fluff. I think to a certain extent that Rick is right, that it harkens back to Eugene McCarthy. But I think it's more serious than that. I think the election of Barack Obama has really moved the Democratic Party further to the left. And I think what we're going to see is that there are more and more Democrats that are showing their true colors of truly being far left progressives and not what I would call the typical liberal Democrats.
So let me ask you this then, Michael, if I can interrupt. Have the Democrats now gone too far left?
Well, I hope so. And frankly, I think they will continue to go even further left. Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, things that Obama is doing, they're pushing Hillary further and further to the left. And that's where her natural inclinations are. So I think that's where we're going to end up. Will Bernie Sanders win the nomination? No. But he will help redefine the modern Democratic Party.
All right, Rick, I saw you chuckling there in the background here. Come on, there. People say the Democrats are going too far left already, and they're still going there.
All you have to do is look at history. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand. We've seen this time and time and time again. It's important that the further left part of the Democratic Party have people to voice their point of view. I think it's fantastic. But take a look at who gets nominations, who ends up leading. It's never people from the far left. And please God, on the other side, if we should end up with a Republican president, it won't be somebody from the far right. At the end of the day, the American people like centrists. They may lean a little left, they may lean a little right, but they like people that they can go to sleep at night and not be afraid.
All right, now wait a minute. I'm going to take us right off track and go to something else here because you bring up that whole centrist idea. Michael, to you first. Is there anybody out there who is centrist? I mean, come on, I've heard this now for years that we want somebody in the center. Who's the closest to the center then?
We don't want someone close to the center. We want someone that is center-right. But I think more than being center-right, we want someone who's going to say very honestly, because I think the American people yearn for honesty. These are our fiscal problems. These are our social ills. These are our economic problems. These are our national defense and international security issues. And here's what I would do about it. They crave leadership. But I think that leadership should be center-right.
All right, I got to go ahead and leave that there because we got to move on here, and I know full well we could do hours on this. So let me ask you, Mr. Ungar, Obamacare, SCOTUS, everything's coming down later on this week. Do you personally think that Republicans are absolutely scared spitless if indeed they have to wind up paying the freight for Obamacare?
Well, it's not even a question of my opinion. I talked to too many members of Congress, and I know how they feel. And you bet the Republicans are scared stiffless. They really don't have a plan to take its place. There are some things being bandied around. But I got to tell you, what ends up being at the fulcrum of the problem is that nobody, Republican, some Democrats, they don't want to cop to the one inescapable conclusion, and that is you cannot insure people with pre-existing conditions unless you have a mandate. Since time has begun, nobody has found a way to do it other than that. This is what's vexing the Republicans. They know that if the court comes down in a way that takes away the subsidies from millions of people, they are faced with a really big problem.
Michael, I only got 30 seconds left here. Look, Republicans can't agree on $60 billion to patch up the crumbling roads in America. Why should Americans believe that they'll be ready to go if and when Obamacare is defeated by SCOTUS?
And they shouldn't be. And this is where Republicans have screwed up. They should have been ready with the plan. They should have told us what the plan was beforehand, because they campaigned on repealing and replacing Obamacare. They've sat on their thumbs. When the Supreme Court decision comes down, they'll pay for it.
Wait a minute. What did you say, Rick? Go ahead.
They can't do it. They can't do it. Their whole thing is this getting rid of the individual mandate. You cannot insure people with pre-existing conditions without an individual mandate. They dug their grave on that because it can't be done, and they know it can't be done.
All right, here we go. We have to end it all there. My goodness, we actually got through it. We did not spit invectives between the left and the right, between my two favorite individuals here.
I'll call Rick.
We will try again next time. Yes, do it on the telephone. We'll do it later. Michael Brown, Rick Ungar, always a pleasure, guys. Take care. Coming up next, the Ted Cruz call to order and how to get punished by Speaker of the House, maybe. Next on the fastest 60 minutes in news.